You can make it so easy for other people to talk to you. And when you do, it makes the conversations and the connections flow so much smoother. If your goal is to have a better social life, more charisma, greater chance of building friendships, don't make it harder than it has to be. Make it easy for the other person to connect with you. I'm sure we've all been in conversations where the other person did this for us. You might not have even realized it, but haven't you been in some conversations where it feels like the conversation is just flowing so freely and so easily? You just always know the next thing to say or the next thing to ask. And then other conversations that feel like it's pulling teeth where you're like, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea how to keep this conversation going. You are the same person in both conversations, but the other person in those two interactions, they made the difference between the conversation being easy for you and the conversation being hard for you. So, how do you be the person in the first group? How do you be somebody that makes conversation easy for other people? It is very simple. All you have to do is volunteer a couple extra juicy details more than you really need to. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say somebody asks you, what do you like to do for fun? Well, I could answer and say, I like to play video games. Okay, that's true. That's an answer, but it doesn't give the person very much to go off of. They might say, okay, well, what kind of video games or what do you like about them or whatever? But notice they have to do all of the work. They have to come up with something to ask about video games, and that's a very broad topic. And so they have to put in the extra effort. They have to kind of pull the teeth to keep the conversation going. But notice how different it feels when I have just a couple of extra juicy details. For instance, I say, I like to play video games. In fact, there's this one video game that I've been playing with my wife, where it's an adventure game, and we both kind of decide together what kinds of decisions to make, and we sort of make the story happen together. And I really like doing that. Okay, it's just a little bit of more information, but notice how many easy pathways it's opened up to you for where to go next in the conversation. For instance, now you know that I have a wife, and you can ask about, you can ask about her or how I met her or any of those things. You can ask about if I normally play games with my wife or if I do games on my own. You can ask me what the game was that I was talking about that was the adventure game. All of those give you more options, and so it's so much easier for you to think of something to say in the conversation. Or to give another example, let's say somebody says to me, hey, Daniel, how's your week going? And I say, fine. Okay, what are you supposed to do with that, right? There's nothing for you to grab hold of. There's nothing for you to use as an ingredient for your response. And so you're just going to have to then put all of the effort into figuring out something new to say. And that's hard on you. And if you give people these very flat, limited detail answers, after a couple times, they're using up all of their effort, and the conversation is no fun. It's way too hard for them. But what if you gave them just a little bit more information, right? They say, okay, Daniel, how has your week been going? And I say, oh, it's been fine. I've been recording some YouTube videos and I really enjoy that. But my car's having some difficulties and I'm gonna have to take it to the shop and that's stressful. So, a little good, a little bad. It's fine overall. Okay, what is different here? Well, again, I've given them a couple of extra details. They could ask me about YouTube videos. They could ask me about what's going wrong with their car. They could maybe talk about their own car and how it has problems. And so it's an opportunity for them to share things. I've given them so many jumping off points that the conversation is just so much easier on their side. And they might not even realize it. They might not be aware of why it's so easy to talk to me, but it's because they don't have to come up with everything that they're going to say. I've given them several jumping off points, and all they have to do is just use them. That is the very simple trick that makes it easy for people to talk to you. Just give them a couple of extra details anytime it is your turn to respond. 2 to 3 is plenty. You don't want to give 15 extra details and overwhelm them. 2 to 3. And here's the bonus tip. What about when you have asked them the question? Well, then what? Well, very simple. When they answer the question, you still want to add in one detail in your response to them. So if I ask you, hey, you have anything fun planned for the weekend? And you say, oh, I'm going to go to a water park. Then I might say, oh, that's great. Like I loved going to the water park when I was a kid. What are you going to do when you're there? So you'll notice that I'm still keeping the focus on you. I'm still asking you a question about yourself, but I have included one little detail about myself. I used to go to the water park when I was a kid. And so now you have an opportunity in your conversation with me to follow up on that detail if you want. Maybe you might say, "Oh, like, where did you grow up? Or what did you like to do at the water park when you were a kid? Or have you gone to the water park since you were a kid?" All of those things are fair game, and it's very easy for you to naturally think of them because I've given you that extra detail. So when somebody asks you a question, volunteer 2 or 3 details. When you ask somebody else a question, volunteer one detail in your response before asking them a follow up question. That is all there is to it. If you do that, I promise you, you will be easier to talk to than 90% of people out there. And it's very, very simple. So I want you to try it out. Leave a comment. Let me know if it works, if it didn't, if there's other things you want me to talk about. And please like, subscribe, do all those things so that the algorithm may favor me and show more of my videos to people. This is Dr. Dan signing off.